Hey, welcome to another episode of Just Another Effing Podcast. This is episode 8. This is our Independent Day. I am your host with the most. Say my name 3 times and I'll show up at your door. The JFB, James from Boston.
And it's me, your Canadian hero, Canada Dry.
This is episode 8. It's all about indie wrestling, and we have a special guest from our WAR promotion and other independent promotions. We have the one and only Cody Jones. Cody, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't have a cool intro like you guys, but I'm doing pretty good. We've been practicing.
Yeah, this is our gimmicks, man.
Addiction leagues we're part of, and so we got to do promos to get points. So
yeah,
we've been able to add that to our podcast.
There you go,
man. So it's good to have you on here. Big question that I have for you. Obviously, you wrestle independently. You're on a lot of different promotions. How has the indie circuit changed since last year when COVID struck?
Well, weirdly, it actually changed. I thrived in it for some reason. For some weird reason, yeah. I took a trip to Mexico. Like I debuted in Mexico during this whole thing.
Oh, awesome.
There was a lot more opportunities. I feel like for me, just because of the people that were didn't want to do it or were at high risk and couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So if you had that comfort level and you just went with it, I think the opportunities were there. But also there was the you have to take your health into consideration too. Luckily, I don't have kids or anything like that, so it's more of if I stay safe, then everything should work out.
Yeah. Did you find it strange coming back to the States and wrestling with almost nobody or even just smaller amount of crowds?
Oh yeah, that's the hardest part is wrestling either in front of nobody or 10, 15 people.
Yeah.
Because you guys are wrestling fans, you know that with wrestling we need the fans.
Yeah.
It's like a comedian with no fans. You don't know what works and you don't know what doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be strange. I know several of the wrestling I'm in Nashville, and some of the wrestling promotions here are wrestling with 0 fans, but they're piping in audience noise to kind of help with the timing and the rhythm and everything. Have they started doing that with you guys too, or?
No, in Ohio the regulations are a little bit more lax, but still the company they only make I think maybe 150 people, but they separate. It's in a big sports like a sports arena.
Yeah.
So they separate everybody. You can't eat or anything on the field and stuff like that. So they make it a little bit makes it a little bit normal, but still everybody's wearing masks. You can't hear them as well. And then here in Chicago with Galley, it's more like a small crowd, maybe 20, 25 people.
Yeah.
Cody, have you contacted AEW to try and get a dark on it or anything like that?
I have not. I don't have the connection. I've reached out to a couple people and haven't gotten the connection to reach out. I would love to work for AEW. I'd love to work for anybody really, but yeah, I would like a dark match for AEW for sure.
Even if it's a 2-minute squash match.
Oh, 100%.
Work is work, man. Work is work.
Exactly. It'll be the best 2 minutes they've seen of me.
So, what made you want to become a professional wrestler?
My dad.
Yeah.
100% my dad.
Well, let's get into that. Your dad is a little bit of a legend, right?
Yeah, he was Tom Jones, not the singer.
Good kid. Did your dad sing?
Yeah, but not like the singer. He sang in choir in church when he was a kid, so he had a little bit of. He could carry a tune, but it wasn't anything good. So I started because of him. He was Mr. Ebony Tom Jones in World Class. He wrestled all over Portland. All over the United States. He was actually built from Chicago, and ironically enough, 7 years ago, I moved to Chicago, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So now he's actually built from Chicago.
Exactly. No, I started with him. Him and my mom were divorced. We would go visit him in Oklahoma City for the summers, and he would train and run shows during the weekend. and I would just go. Me and my sister would go hang out and mess around in the ring like kids would do. And then finally, like eight or nine, I just started training with everybody he would start training with, and then I had my first match when I was 15. But what made me fall in love with wrestling, made me get into it, was actually to get closer to him.
Yeah.
Because I understood how much he loved wrestling, but then as I got older, I ended up falling in love with wrestling, and almost 19 years later, I'm here.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I remember watching Mr. Ebony against the Von Erichs several times.
Yeah. Devastation Inc.
Yep, Devastation Inc. It was really cool that he was able to give you that love of wrestling at such a young age, you know?
Yeah. I wish I would have listened to him more when I was a kid, though.
Yeah.
Probably be a lot better. My favorite match were the ones with the Von Erichs, and he has a real cool one on. He has a win over the original Sheik.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a black and white video, so that's a cool one to go look. And then him versus Holy's a good one.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch. It's just so crazy to go back and look at not only my dad, but that style of wrestling, and then see where it's evolved to where we're at now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So would you consider yourself a technician, high flyer? What would be able to describe your style of wrestling to the people out there?
I would say a technician with a little bit of high flying if I need to.
Yeah.
I used to be a high flyer when I was younger. I was 15, 16, 17, just full of everything, weighing maybe about 120 pounds.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, and I'm at 210 now.
Hey, welcome. We got one of your biggest fans here. This is Dallas. He is in Ohio, and he goes to WAR quite often.
Oh, nice.
Hey, Cody.
How are you?
Yeah, I've been a fan of you for like a pretty long time from War Wrestling, and I love the work that you and Paloma do. When you guys were heels, I would always cheer, and I love the reaction the rest of the fans would get when I would cheer for you guys.
That was the most fun I've had being a heel in War, because they hated us.
Yeah.
They hated us. They definitely hated us.
I would cheer against them and be like, "You fans are ratchet."
When I told Dallas that you were coming on the show, he was so excited, and I was like, "That's awesome!" And it was really cool.
That's cool. I'm glad I'm on here. I'm glad we could talk.
So speaking of Paloma, that is your wife. What's it like wrestling and traveling with the wife?
Oh, it's easy.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have it that way. So now, like before, you think they're tagging along. No. She comes along. She knows what's going on. So like if I have a bad match, she knows how to. We can discuss that on the way back, or a good match, vice versa. The ups and downs of the business. We get to book the territories, as they say, on the road together. And I get to do it with the person I love, which makes it so much cool.
That's awesome.
Cody, are you able to make a living off this, or do you have to have a second job, or you could just live off of wrestling?
I have a second job, unfortunately. I wish I could live off of wrestling. I actually thought this year probably would have been the first year I probably could have done it, but it just so happened to be during a pandemic. So financially, we're stable enough to where one of us could probably do it full time, but just with the pandemic, the work's not enough to sustain it.
Yeah.
Has AEW reached out to either of you guys?
No, not to me. I don't know about Paloma. I haven't heard about it from her, but no, they haven't reached out to me. Like I was telling them, I would love to work for AEW, even if it was a 2-minute squash match.
Yeah, I'd love to see you on Dark, at least.
Yeah. Maybe Elevation, that would be awesome too.
Yeah.
So coming out of Chicago, I mean, you're talking about such a huge history of Chicago wrestlers. Road Warriors, Larry Zbyszko, you're talking Colt Cabana, Ace Steel, CM Punk. Are any what Chicago legends that have laid that path down for you have you kind of started following, like were inspiration for you to pick up that mantle?
So I would have to get a combination of all of them except for like the Road Warriors, because I'm not that big.
Yeah.
I can't just be a road warrior. I can't take that path.
Yeah.
No, but I love the free spirit that Punk showed. You know,
Yeah.
that Punk, he defined he was the definition of Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, that's Chicago in a person.
Yeah.
Colt Cabana as well. Like I love Colt Cabana.
Yeah.
I wish I could wrestle Colt Cabana. I wish I could talk to Colt Cabana all the time. I've met him a few times, had conversations with him, but I just wish I could sit down and talk to him more, pick his brain.
Yeah.
And just because he's such that old school mindset, but understands how to evolve into the new style as well.
Yeah.
So I think those are the two big ones that stand out that I try to I guess emulate.
Yeah.
I admire those two so much.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago is just so legendary for. I would even say it's just as legendary as some of the greats that have come out of Texas. Into Texas. I mean, I was born in Chicago. I have the wrong arm. I have the Chicago tattoo. Well,
what's your finisher?
So when I lived in Texas, I'm originally from Texas. I would usually go to sleep. I don't usually go to sleep in Chicago.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Right now, my finisher is it's a brain buster. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
One I can do to almost anybody, and I think I do it pretty well. So.
Yeah, I think you do it pretty well too. I've seen you deliver it quite a few times, and it looks devastating. What about Mr. Dropkick?
Oh yeah, so the story about my dropkick is that's the one thing I wanted to learn when I was a kid. So I just would spend all the training time doing all the other stuff, but then it would just be drop kicks.
Yeah.
Like I would hold his hand out and I would drop kick, and then he'd hold it up higher, and then I would drop kick higher. So like I came up, it was probably a year and a half almost.
Yeah.
That Paloma said you should be called Mr. Dropkick.
That's a great nickname, I gotta say.
And now that's what I am, Mr. Dropkick.
I love that nickname. Dally, do you have a question?
I'd have to think about it. You just called me out.
So what's some of your favorite matches, and who's some of the bigger names that you've wrestled against?
So some of my favorite matches, there's a few I've had with my best friend. His name's Austin Riley in Amarillo, Texas. We've had such great chemistry. We had a few, matches that I love that are on the top up there. I had a few with Crash Jackson here recently that were really good. And then I can't remember his name. We had a match at War. He threw me off the balcony. I cannot remember his name.
Was it Al Snow?
No, it'll come to me. A lot of concussions. But so going back to the names, I wrestled Al Snow, Hassan Benjamin, Jerry Lawler, Carlito, X-Pac.
I'd like to see the Carlito match.
Sam Houston.
Oh, cool.
Randomly.
He must be getting up there now, Sam Houston.
Yeah. Paul London. I wrestled like the array of talent and names that I've wrestled. It's such a melting pot of different styles, which is I feel like is a testament that I can adapt to any style, which is cool. Something I pride myself in.
Yeah. So outside of your dad, who were some of your inspirations growing up? Guys that you looked at and that kind of cemented that wanting to become a pro wrestler.
Shawn Michaels, Rey Mysterio, and Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Eddie.
Yeah, just simply because they were the smaller guys, and I'm 5'8" and a half on a good day.
Yeah.
Not a good day. Sometimes you call it.
Yeah. So those were the no-brainers to adapt to. Like Eddie Guerrero was probably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, if not the greatest wrestler of all time.
Yeah, he's definitely on my Mount Rushmore.
My favorites healed 97, 98 WCW Eddie Guerrero when he had the mullet. He just looked like an asshole. That's my favorite Eddie. And then Ray was Rey Mysterio. You don't need to say much about him. He's probably the greatest luchador of all time, if not pretty close to it. And then Shawn Michaels, in my opinion, is the greatest wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
You mentioned concussions. Have you had a few concussions?
Yeah, I've had. I couldn't tell you how many, but I've had a few serious ones. Probably in the last 3 years or so.
Yeah.
Like where I wrestled a match, drove home, woke up the next day with a massive headache, couldn't tell you what ward to wrestle in, couldn't tell you what the building looked like.
Yeah.
And then just a few, and then once you get one big one, it's just like the small ones kind of keep up. I used to take cross bodies off the top rope, and then for some reason I would always hit my head. And
those aren't chair shots. Those are
no, those are just. It's just kind of like I guess I'm probably a little bit more prone to concussions because I've had so many, and it's just like once I probably had a bunch of small ones, not many major ones, but yeah, definitely small ones. They'll catch up, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, they do. Yeah, I played soccer, so hitting the ball all the time. They catch up to you pretty quick.
Yeah.
What other injuries have you had besides just concussions?
I've dislocated my left shoulder. My neck's jacked up. Got dropped on my head, stinger. Other than that, just normal bumps and bruises. Like my real injuries weren't in wrestling, surprisingly. Like I've had 5 knee surgeries on both my knees.
Yeah.
Like 3 on my right, 2 on my left, but they weren't wrestling related.
What were they from?
So 2 of them had to be my kneecap wasn't in the right place, so they had to go center it. They had to cut a part of my quad and center it, and then a bunch of torn meniscus. I ran into a wall and ran into a parked car when I was a kid.
Parked cars will do it all the time, man. They're sneaky.
Yeah.
What did you run? Were you on your bike?
No, I was. We were playing football in the streets, and they threw the ball, and I was running to catch it, and I didn't see the car.
I did that on my bike. I ran into a parked car.
Oh, man. I guess my next, obviously, what if you could wrestle for any promotion? I mean, go anywhere in the world, wrestle for any promotion. Who would it be?
I'll go ahead and say WWE because I still feel like that's the pinnacle of wrestling right now.
Yeah.
Outside of WWE, AEW looks fun. They look like they have a cool vibe there. I want to go work for New Japan or anywhere in Japan, really.
Yeah.
And then anywhere in England or in Europe.
Yeah.
That's my goal because I've already checked off the Mexico checklist or bucket list.
Yeah.
But I want to go back, but. I want to go to England. I want to go to Japan, but that's probably going to be years from now once all this ends.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, with all the travel restrictions, I'm sure it's not easy to just hop on a flight and do a tour in Japan or do a tour out in England.
And how many years do you think you have in you to keep doing this?
It's a good question. I could probably say 5, maybe. Hopefully more. I want to keep doing it as long as I can. I made a promise to my dad before he passed that I would keep doing it. So I want to keep doing it as much as I can. It's just right now, like I'm feeling my body's breaking down on me, which sucks. But that's the one thing that's going to tell you.
But it's an addiction, right?
Yeah, and then your body's going to be
relate to that movie, The Wrestler.
Oh, 100%. I related more like my dad. It's like I saw my dad in that movie instead of me relating so much more to it, especially with the stuff with his daughters and kids and stuff like that. So once you kind of live that, you kind of relate to that more.
Yeah. What about what do you think about the Me Too movement that's happening in wrestling right now? A lot of pro wrestlers are getting caught up in that tidal wave of doing the wrong thing. What are your thoughts on that with like Marty Scurll and Joey Ryan and such?
I feel like they need to be called out. Like I am 100% supportive of the calling people out for being wrong.
Yeah.
If they are guilty of what they did, then they don't need to be in the wrestling business anymore.
Yeah.
Because the wrestling business, we're kind of crapped on enough as it is for being fake or being not a real sport.
Yeah.
And then like it's just almost adding more to it. We don't need that stuff in wrestling. We don't need that stuff in real life in general.
Yeah.
Like you need to respect people. Don't try to use your power to persuade other people. That's stupid.
Yeah. What do you say to people who say that wrestling is fake? You don't pull a Hulk Hogan and put him in the sleeper hold, do you?
No. So I used to get really angry and be like, don't say that, and want to be put him in the sleeper hold group that it's not fake. But I mean, now they have that opinion. I mean, I know it's not. The people that are fans know it's not. I mean, what we do is more like a live action film, really.
Yeah.
It's like a live action stunt show. We don't have nets. We don't have harnesses or anything like that. We just go out there and hope to God we survive.
Yeah.
I hate to ask this question, but I feel like I have to. Have you experienced racism in wrestling?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun, I guess.
Oh, 100%. Luckily, I mean, I guess not luckily, but for me, a lot of people don't know that I'm half black and half Mexican.
Okay.
So they just like, okay, he's brown, but I'm not really sure what type of brown he is.
Yeah.
So once people kind of find out, I've been called the N-word. I've came and held a cake for Paloma's birthday one show, and a fan said, "Look, that cake's brown like you." You know, stuff like that. And then Paloma's got to deal with it. Hey, go back to Mexico.
Yeah.
Can't wait till they build the wall, especially during that whole presidency.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's wrong, but I also see it as, like, I'm invoking emotion. So, I kind of, like, I don't like it. It does affect me. But I also understand that I'm kind of asking for it in some sense too, not necessarily the racism part, but more of like, hey, you know, I'm trying to invoke that raw emotion from somebody who just happens to be racism.
Yeah.
And has it affected your booking though ever?
That I can answer to that. I would like to think it hasn't, but I can also, you know, you can't hide it. I'm sure there's a lot of people that won't book people of color because they've either reached their quota or they just don't like to book people of color.
Yeah, I've witnessed fans in the war wrestling crowd, and they would say like racist chants like that, like "Go back to Mexico" and stuff like that, and that would get me fired up, and I would always like fight, like cuss them out and shit. Like that's not okay. I wasn't this.
No, it's not. Like, there doesn't need to be racism in wrestling. There doesn't need to be racism in life, but especially in wrestling, when it's such a diverse group of people. Like, the fans are from all over the place. The wrestlers are from all over the place.
Yeah.
Why does there need to be racism in it?
Yeah. Have you thought about doing a wedding angle? Did you get married in the ring?
We actually haven't got married yet. We're getting married in October.
Oh, okay. Are you going to do it in the ring?
No, we're going to... I'm actually opposed to the wrestling, like bringing wrestling to it, because I mean we live wrestling all the time. I don't want to be normal for a minute.
Someone's going to come and interrupt your wedding.
Exactly. And wrestling weddings never last. Never. As soon as you put a wedding in the ring, it never works.
That is true. So no Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth in the near future for WAR.
I mean, Bruce and Lana are still together in real life, so
yeah,
that is true. So
they were the exception. More of a babyface.
That's funny you said that. I'm actually more of a babyface now. I was a heel for probably majority of my time in Chicago, and then me and Paloma just turned babyface a couple shows ago at War.
Which do you prefer?
I prefer being a heel. I'm just such a naturally hateable person. I don't like dealing with people that much. Like I'll talk to people, but Paloma says I have dead eyes. Like when I'm a heel, I just have dead eyes. And it's just so much easier to be mean to people.
It is, and you can get over more as a heel than a baby.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot harder to be a babyface, I think now, especially nowadays, because the heels are always they're all looked at as being cool.
Yeah.
And baby faces aren't that cool character, especially the white baby faces.
I don't like the cool heels.
Yeah, I don't either.
That hurts wrestling.
I agree. There should, because at the end of the day, it's always good versus evil. That's the story that's been told throughout history. Good versus evil.
Yeah.
There was no tweeners in the Revolutionary War or anything like that. There was the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Tweeners and
Think about how different the Civil War would have been if you had tweeners and
Right, you had tweeners.
The past show that I think it was last Saturday, when Paloma came out, I noticed that the fans weren't that loud, and I'm like, turn these guys heels again because the crowd loves to cheer against you guys. So
Yeah, that one is and right now it's so hard to turn us face because we've made these people hate us so much. Like a lot of these people have like this real hatred towards us. So to there's gonna be that transition period where they might not all be on board because they also might not. They might see through and like all these people they're gonna lie to us anyways. Well, that's not the case. We're here to we're better now. I guess is what the wrestling say. No, we're faces now. That's what we're gonna do for the foreseeable future.
like Jock Sanson, I'm surprised they ever turned him face.
Yes. See, because the way it works is like you're a heel. You can only be a heel so long. You're eventually going to turn, and vice versa as a babyface. You can only be a babyface so long before the crowd gets tired of seeing you. It's the whole Batman thing. You live long enough to see yourself become a villain. That's what ends up happening.
So you like being heel a lot better than being a babyface.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually enjoying being a face now, like, because I kind of, it's like I'm like a character babyface. Like, not much of me has changed.
Yeah.
Wrestling wise, I don't cheat, but it's more of like that. Because and the days of like the white meat babyface, I think, are gone.
Yeah.
It's more of they want that fight. They want somebody that just fights, like that Daniel Bryan. That just never gives up type. Not to steal from John Cena, but that one that just doesn't quit. And then but it has that anger. Like you cut the promos, you're angry. They can feel that anger.
Yeah.
It's a lot more realism instead of that. Hey, cheer for me. I'm doing good stuff.
So, where'd you learn to do promos?
I'm on my own.
Yeah.
I'm not the best at it, and because my dad never taught me.
Yeah.
And because that was nothing. He never worked on promos because go back in some of his. He wasn't the best talker either. So maybe he was just kind of he's gonna do what he felt comfortable doing. But yeah, I just had to learn by doing them for shows, and finally just getting to the point where I could tell somebody how to cut a promo and what way to do it.
Yeah.
At least what I think works. But once I start talking and the camera is on me, I freeze up every time.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, we all three of us are in a prediction league. We're in a AEW prediction league, so we start cutting promos against our opponents. And I don't know about these two other goons over here, but I got 50, 60 takes before I get it right, because it's a slip of the tongue or I use this word the wrong way and I get the name of the opponent wrong. So, I mean, I'm outside for an hour cutting promos and deleting and cutting and deleting until I get one that's right.
Same, and then you get frustrated, and I'm like, I just want to get this over with, and finally I'll just settle for a promo.
Yeah.
I gotta cut like a whole bunch of videos and then like copy and paste a few of them into iMovie, and it's a lot. And then I added a sound effect.
See, I want to bow to the people that can edit videos and add sounds and stuff. I wish I could do that. That looks so cool, but so difficult for me.
Yeah. So, do you usually call your matches in the ring, or you plan them out more meticulously backstage and then go out and do it?
If I have it my way, I like to call it in the ring.
Yeah.
Kind of get hey, this is the beginning, maybe the end, and then kind of like the filler, kind of like a start and then a destination, and then kind of fill in between.
Yeah.
But with Galley, I have to call more in the back because of the language barrier.
Yeah.
Most of the luchadors don't speak English, or if they do, it's not very well.
Yeah.
So you have to call more, and then a lot of that's just so many spots, so you have to kind of call everything, and it's going to be more of like this is in this spot, this is in this spot. It's got to be more laid out in lucha, but I would prefer calling it in the ring.
Yeah.
It's just easier that way because you don't know what the crowd. You could call a match and go out there and the crowd doesn't react to what you call.
Yeah.
And then what? You can't change on the fly because you've called the whole match in the back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I know a lot of my favorite wrestlers, like Macho Man, was meticulous. They did everything backstage. I still remember looking at the rundown sheet of all the moves for him versus Steamboat, and then you got somebody like Stone Cold Steve Austin who wants to call it in the ring and when to go home, and he knows again where the beginning is, where the end is. We'll figure it out in the middle, but we know where we need to get. So
yeah,
what kind of gimmick? Go ahead.
It's an art form.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it totally is. Yeah. It's a craft. I mean, it absolutely is a craft. What kind of gimmick matches are you a big fan of that you've been?
I don't know what match you were breaking up.
Oh, what kind of gimmick matches are you usually do you like to do?
None of them. No, I'm just playing.
Come on, we want you to bury the live match.
Right? No, my favorite gimmick match is a ladder match. Just because going back to the Shawn Michaels fan, the Razor Ramon ladder matches. So I've had my share of ladder matches. They suck. Cage matches are cool too, just because it's just like the cage looks so cool.
Yeah.
Even being inside of it, especially if you being a fan of wrestling, you get inside that cage and you're like, oh, I'm inside of a cage. But then you got to realize I'm wrestling inside of this cage. I'm not a fan standing inside of this cage.
Have you been in a casket match? Like I know they do a few of them on the War main show, like WrestleMania.
The Hall of Fame, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. Actually, it's funny. I was supposed to be in one. Me and Mojo were supposed to be in one last year for the Hall of Fame or the anniversary show, whatever it's called. And that's when I lost the title to him. But we ended up switching it to just being in a cage match. So it was a double cage match. But yeah, the idea was supposed to be a casket match that way for that match.
I'm not a fan of Mojo. I wish he would have never took the title.
Oh, me too. But hey, what do you do?
So do you get to keep your belt, like a replica of the belt, if you win?
No, I get to travel with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't get to keep the. They don't have a replica. Most companies can't afford to make a replica.
Yeah.
Belts are expensive.
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
So you're also a wrestling fan, I'm assuming.
Yeah, 100%.
So what are some of your favorite matches of all time, like of the greats?
Brett and Shawn, the Iron Man match. Steamboat, Macho Man. Let's see, all the TLCs from the Hardy Boys, but WrestleMania 17 would be my favorite.
Yeah.
Edge and Cena. Either Edge and Cena at SummerSlam in Boston or Edge and Cena in Toronto at Unforgiven for the title.
Yeah.
Edge and Foley at WrestleMania. I have a lot of favorites. But they're Eddie and Ray at Halloween Havoc 97.
Have you done a lot of tag team wrestling in your career?
Yeah, I've done a lot. I did a lot in Texas.
Yeah.
So I wish I would have been more knowledgeable then, kind of now, because I feel like it would have been. I was just out there. I think it was me and somebody teaming up, and we both had our own agendas, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Like it was like two singles guys wrestling instead of a tag team. Like we were friends outside of wrestling, but I don't think we ever. I don't think we were in the mindset of being, more like tag team oriented because. Yeah. There's an art form to being in a tag team too. There's an art form to tag team wrestling. When it's done correctly, it's probably some of the best wrestling too.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful when you have a team that's in sync and they're connected all the time. It's a thing of beauty to watch them. To watch them tag. Because I know your dad was big in tag team as well.
Yeah.
Especially out in Dallas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you excited to team up with your wife or future wife at this upcoming show?
In the anniversary show, yeah.
Yeah.
We actually got to do extra work too. Like the October before the pandemic, we went to Denver and did extra work for WWE, which that was cool. I've done extra work a few times. She did it for a live show, but we got to do it for a Raw, and it was really cool just being backstage with her. And then that's when I kind of understood, like, all right, So I'm kind of towards the end of my wrestling career. Now the little moments are gonna have that mean more. Like that. And I get to team with her and get to travel with her. Those mean more to me now because I'm at the end of my career.
Yeah. I looked you up on Google and it says you wrestled your wife a few times.
Yeah. We've had 5 matches. She doesn't like it because it's like I'm very, very passionate when it comes to wrestling, and if somebody messes up, I get angry about it, but not getting better at that. But she gets very intimidating when she wrestles me.
Yeah.
Because she thinks I can't do this, I can't do that. I'm like, you can. But that's why calling stuff in the ring, I would do that to her. Like she was like, I can't do this. I'm like, yeah, you can. So she has to do it. If not, we both look dumb standing there trying to argue. We're arguing who's gonna do the move. But no, it's fun.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I didn't realize that you wrestled Paloma before, so that's interesting. That actually is interesting. Have you thought about maybe possibly opening up or working at a wrestling school and taking that knowledge that your father imparted to you and kind of giving it to the next generation that's coming up?
I actually have. I've thought about that. I trained a little. I was a trainer a little bit in Texas before, and it didn't work out because they weren't listening. But
yeah,
I would like to do something like that because I feel like I have a lot of knowledge, even if I don't look like I show it much in the ring.
Yeah.
I think my mind's a little bit sharper for wrestling than it used to be, and I feel like a lot of people don't pass on the knowledge. I can't take that with me.
Yeah.
Like taking the knowledge of wrestling, like I have my moments and my experiences, but I want other people to have that experience. And if you share your knowledge and they take anything good out of it, then you've bettered the business, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It stinks that, there's a generation that may be lost, with all that background and all that knowledge, and especially with you being a second generation wrestler. Imagine just that line stopping right there, and all that information is just gone.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
And I feel like there's the lack of traveling and getting advice with the vets and stuff like that too on the roads and all that stuff.
Yeah. Do you? Who else do you travel with? Do you just you and Paloma, or do you have a couple other guys who go with you?
No, it's usually just me and Paloma. Usually it's more like we go down there, trip, and then come back because one of us has to work the next day, so it's not really like a long. We don't get to do these long trips anymore like we used to when we were in Texas. But it's usually just her. Sometimes we'll catch a ride with somebody if it works out easier that way.
Yeah.
But I'd much rather just travel on my own with her because it's just easier that way.
Yeah, plus it's that quality time that you get to spend with her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. Anybody else got any other questions?
No, I think we're good. It's been a great show.
Yeah.
We enjoyed having you. And next week we will be talking about the worst gimmick matches, the worst fails of all time.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of those.
Yeah, and we're on Spotify, so Cody, I'll send you a link to the Spotify page.
And join the Eppin Wrestling group page. We'll send you a link to that.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, you can listen. You can watch the rigmarole from behind the scenes.
It seems a little off because we have another podcast that we had last night. Have you ever had any paranormal experiences?
I have not.
Okay. It's always interesting.
I'm interested in it. I've been in places that were haunted, but I've never experienced it. I think I kind of would like to.
Yeah.
Just to kind of see the experience because that intrigues me. I would like to, but no, I haven't.
Maybe we'll have them on.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you on Wrestling with the Paranormal. That's our other show.
Sounds good. I'll be on anything you want me to be.
All right, guys. So come to Spotify, subscribe, leave us a great 5-star review. If you don't want to leave a 5-star review, that's fine. We'll take 4 stars as well. Any 3 and under, you can take that shit and ship it home to mama because we don't want it here. So
this message goes out to Tony Khan, Cody Jones, on AEW Dark. Let's get him a 2-minute squash match, baby!
Yeah!
They call me the 2-minute man, Cody Jones. That's gonna be my name.
All right, guys. Peace out. Thanks for listening, and
Thank you so
hope
much.
you enjoyed it.
All right, thank you guys.
See you guys later.